Hey guys, Neely here. It is Wellness Wednesday, so I'm coming in with an update on my diet, health, and wellness journey. It is not, again, an exciting week as far as weight loss. I am just about the same as I was last week, which is completely understandable considering that I have been totally eating in maintenance mode. You saw if you watched my day in the life this past week, I ate a gluten-free crust pizza, which is totally a maintenance mode type meal, and I've just been eating kind of like that all week. Not pizza all week, but just maintenance mode, not really worrying about weight loss food necessarily, just kind of eating what I consider to be a healthy, moderate, not weight loss diet, which is what I hope to eat, regularly for the rest of my life, as soon as I'm finished with my weight loss journey. So it's definitely healthy, but it's not geared towards weight loss, but it has been enjoyable and I've been having a good time. I did, when I got back from my weekend, whatever it was, a week and a half ago, I did one video of how I eat in a day, and I was totally back on weight loss mode and doing great for that one day. I did a low fat day, and then I told you all about this last week, but I did my low carb day the next day, and it ended up being Valentine's Day, and my plans for dinner got mixed up, so I went out to eat with the kids and ate a healthy but not weight loss friendly meal where I combined plenty of carbs and fat. So what I've kind of noticed, this is just an observation about my body, is when I go off on, eating indulgently like I did on my weekend when I was gone, and eating, in not a weight loss friendly mode, or even indulging in what I consider to be less healthy stuff. When I come back from that and when I want to get back on track after that, I have found that I cannot do low carb days. And this is something that I had in my mind already, but I hadn't kind of confirmed it yet until this experience. Back when I was on keto, I did keto for 6 months. And by the end of it, I was pretty messed up and feeling my heck was so out of control. That was probably one of the worst heck out of control feelings that I've ever had. And heck is hunger, energy, and cravings. And that's from Jade Teta from Metabolic Effect. And I use that hunger, energy, and cravings to tell me how my body is handling whatever dietary mode I'm in. And so if my hunger, energy, and cravings are out of check, that means whatever I'm doing is not working for my body. And that's something that's totally individual for each person. So some people, keto might totally keep their heck in check. For me, I found that after 6 months, it did not. And when I came off of keto and started Trim Healthy Mama, which is where you separate carbs and fats, so you'll have your low carb meals, like keto type meals, but then you'll also have your low fat, higher carb meals. And that's how I was able to introduce carbs back in and kind of get my body used to them again in a healthy way without my body totally going out of control. But I found right when I started THM, I would try to do a whole S day, that is a whole low carb day, and I absolutely could not do it. It sent my heck totally out of check, and I would end up eating all kinds of stuff. I'd either eat way too much of the low carb foods because I was trying to satisfy my cravings and my hunger, and the low carb food didn't do it, or I would end up just eating something else that was not on my plan. So anyways, back to this past week or so, I have found that I have been trying to do low carb days, getting back on track, because I've had a whole bunch of low carb foods that needed to be eaten up, and I've just found that my heck has been out of check because of that. And I'm thinking that from now on, if I do have some indulgent times, holidays or vacations or whatever it is, where I'm eating less healthy food, when I come home and start trying to get back on track, I need to do it with the lower fat, higher carb days. It seems like that is what is going to work best for me, and that is what I did in January after the holidays and all the indulgences of the holidays. When I started in January, I tried to do the 2 weeks of eat less, exercise less, and then 2 weeks of eat more, exercise more, and the eat less, exercise less was a lower fat, higher carb, not high carb, but it had carbs, and I did great on that for the first week, and that totally brought my heck into check after the indulgence of the holidays. And I'm thinking that from now on, I'm going to try to do that anytime I'm trying to get back on track. I think the low fat, higher carb days are going to do it better for me than the lower carb days. And again, this is totally just me trying to figure out my own body. Could be totally different for you, totally different for each person. But that is what I think I am noticing, and that is what I'm going to start experimenting with this next week and see if my heck gets a little bit more in check while doing that. If you guys have followed me for a while, you know that once I get to the point of hunger and cravings, I don't just use willpower and push through. I eat what it is that I'm craving and what I want, and then I think from there, what can I do going forward so that I don't get to this point of hunger and cravings again? So that's what I've just been thinking about and thinking, okay, I need to focus more on the lower fat days, the higher carb days, so that this upcoming week, I don't get to that point of hunger and cravings. So this past week, when I was at the point of hunger and cravings, I definitely indulged. I definitely ate carbs and fat together. I didn't go out and eat junk. That's just not what I do. I have, as far as my lifestyle and food choice, it's very healthy, but I did eat, like I had a steak and I had roasted potatoes with it. Totally not weight loss friendly for my body. But since I was already at the point where I was craving and I was hungry, I was like, I'm just going to do it, and then we'll move forward and go from there. So of course, because of all that, it is reflected on the scale that I did not lose any weight, but the good news is I didn't gain either. I'm pretty much the same. I've been pretty much the same this entire month. And actually, I was thinking about it and thinking about this past year as I've been successfully losing weight. I've definitely not just gone down consistently. And I went back and looked, and what my body seems to like to do is I will get into weight loss mode, and my body will release a bunch of weight really fast. And then because of my hunger, energy, and cravings kind of changing, I'll start to eat more naturally, and it usually aligns with whatever's going on in my life, like summertime vacations or holidays or whatever, and I'll start eating more indulgently, and I will eat kind of in maintenance mode rather than in weight loss mode, and my body goes up a few pounds, and then I'll do that for a while, and then once I'm ready to push again, I'll push and it'll go down, more. And then, so I've kind of been going in this cycle where I'll lose weight, then I'll go up just a little, then I'll lose weight and I'll go up just a little. And I actually went and looked at all the numbers, and the way that it has worked out this past year is I started out somewhere between 170 and 175. I'm going to say 175, just take the high end of the range. So I was 175 a year ago. And then once I started losing weight, which was right at the beginning of the summer, my body released weight really, really quickly over like June and July and August-ish time. And I got down to about 160. And then we had like summer vacation and just the indulgences of summer. And I ate more moderately. And then I went up to about, 165. So it was like 175 down to 160, up to 165. And then I did my Whole30 in October. After that, and after the part of November where I continued a Whole30 type diet, I was down to 157. And then over the holidays, like Thanksgiving through New Year's, I went up to 163. And then January is when I started pushing for weight loss again, and I was 163, and I dropped down in January really fast to about 150. And now I'm kind of in that up phase again, where I'm up to around somewhere between 153 and 155, and that's where my body is just wanting to stay. I've been eating very indulgently, like I said, steak and potatoes and that kind of thing. I haven't been eating like crazy junk food or anything, but just indulgently and not for weight loss. And my body is staying really steady at that 155 range. So what I'm thinking is, whenever my body is ready to start losing weight, I'll do the push again, like I have been doing. And I kind of keep pushing, and my body tells me really quickly through my hunger and cravings if it's ready to lose weight. It's really an interesting type of relationship that I am experiencing, where it's like, I'll be like, okay, I'm starting with my weight loss phase and I'm going to eat weight loss foods. And my body will be like, nope, you're going to crave this. And then I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to have that. And then like in January when I did my push, it was like my body was totally on board, and I started eating, you know, the lower fat, a little bit of carbs in the evening, and lots of fiber, lots of lean protein, water, and I was eating pretty low calorie just naturally because I was eating to satiety of those healthy weight loss friendly foods. And my body was like, yes, we're going to do this. And so I lost weight really, really fast. And it's just really interesting, the place that I'm in of listening to my body and kind of responding as I go along and adjusting my plans as I go along. Because I was thinking, you know, right after I got back from my vacation, I was like, okay, I'm going to jump right back in and I'm going to start losing some more weight. And my body has just been like, nope, we're not going to do that right now. So I'm like, okay, well, then I will think about if there's anything else, any other tweaks I need to make, like moving more to the lower fat type days than doing the lower carb days like I was trying. And then I'll do that this next upcoming week and kind of see if my body responds. And then we'll go from there. So one other interesting thing, since the scale is not moving at all, it's just kind of staying right in that little range there. I have been taking my measurements as well. And the funny thing is those keep going down just a little bit. It's not anything dramatic, but I think they were, of the past 4 weeks, there was only 1 week that they were up, and it was up like 1/4 of an inch total in my total inches overall. But like the first 4 weeks ago, I was down 1.75. Then the week after that, I was up the 0.25. And then last week I was down, I don't know, 1/2 an inch or something. And this week I was down 1/2 an inch or an inch, something like that. So it keeps gradually going down, even though my weight is not going down, and my weight is higher than it was 4 weeks ago, but my inches are lower than they were 4 weeks ago. So that is a sign to me that things are going fine and my body is doing what it needs to do. I'm not in weight gain mode, which is really good. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and my body will respond how it responds, and I will make adjustments and tweaks as we go along, and we'll see where we get, I guess. I'm still thinking towards the Candida cleanse, but I have not made any decisions on that, and I have not gotten a lot read in my Adrenal Thyroid Revolution book, not as much as I want. So I'm going to keep trying to make time for that, and I'm trying to get through that book before I make any decisions about a Candida cleanse, because I know that she addresses that in her book, and I want to definitely get all of her advice, and then from there, I'll make a decision. So no news on that front. At this point, I did want to let you know about 2 other things that I found this past week that are really cool. The first one is an app. I did a video a couple weeks ago about female menstrual cycles and fat loss, and talked about the different phases of your cycle. And there's this app that actually Aviva Ram talked about on a Facebook post, and it is so cool. It is a period tracker app, but it tracks all of your phases, and they break it up into the follicular phase, ovulation, the luteal phase, and menses. So they have 4 phases listed, and you can go in there and learn. There's so much information on there about learning about your cycles and about your hormones, and just learning about your body, and it comes from a functional medicine perspective. So the advice that they give you is not like standard American government health advice. It's more holistic and like a functional medicine doctor. And it's really, really good. So they talk about, for the different phases of your cycle, what their recommendations for diet, for exercise, for just a couple others, sex, and there was something else. Anyways, so for the different phases, they're like, this is the best kind of exercise. This is what you need sexually, or advice about that. And it's really, really cool. So it does cost money. It was, I have an Android and I got it on there for $1.99. So it's not super expensive. Definitely has been worth the money in my opinion. And I'm still kind of exploring it and getting the hang of it, but it is called MyFlow, MYFLO, and I will try to put a link down below if I can do that, but just search MyFlow. I think it's available on iPhone as well. So definitely check that out if you're interested in learning more about your cycle and hormones and all that, and how that affects your life, and kind of different ways you can tweak your diet and lifestyle in the different phases, just to help your body to be as healthy as possible. Very, very cool information. And then the other thing that I wanted to share with you is a podcast episode that I listened to this week that was super, super interesting. It's kind of sciencey, kind of geeky, but also very easy to listen to because these ladies are super fun, and I absolutely love all of their information. The podcast is called The Paleo View, and it has the Paleo Parents and the Paleo Mom, and Stacy and Sarah, and they're super fun. I love listening to their podcast. I've listened to it since it started, I think, and they have so much good information. And Sarah is a scientist, like she's super, super smart, and so she can kind of come to things from a scientific perspective. And the episode that they did this past week was called Extreme. It's just called Extreme Diets, and they had a special guest, Denise Minger, who is also really cool. I have one of her books. Oh, I put it somewhere else. It's not here, but she has a book called Death by Food Pyramid that's really, really good. And she's also really geeky and into the science. So she is a wealth of information. But what they were talking about in the podcast was some extreme diets, like either keto or the ultra low fat, like raw vegan, like low protein, low fat, raw vegan type diets, and how there's actually some therapeutic effects that you can get from both. And it has to do with going to either of the extremes. Like most of us live in the middle, and that's super healthy, and we're eating of both. But there are some really interesting benefits for certain people from going either the keto route or going the super raw vegan route. And in the episode, they talked about separating carbs and fats. So if you are on THM, or if you are interested in that concept, like Alt Shift is also one that separates carbs and fats, and it's becoming more popular, like carb cycling type diets. They talked about a little bit about what the mechanisms might be there. And one really interesting example that they gave about carbs and fat is there was a study done on I think they did it on diabetic patients, and then people who didn't have diabetes, but they had them eat a baked potato plain. And then I think they did different days. They didn't just do this all in a row. And they checked blood sugar and insulin response. And then they had them eat a baked potato with a little bit of butter. And then they had them eat a baked potato with a little more butter, and a baked potato with a little more butter, and then a baked potato with a lot of butter. And you would think it's generally accepted that when you eat carbs with fat, it slows down the absorption of the carbs because the fat slows down the digestion. But what they found is, at least in the diabetic patients, was that wasn't even the case. They actually got a higher blood sugar response from the potato with the butter. And also the insulin, you have to listen to the episode because I'm not doing it justice, but it was super, super fascinating because that's one of the criticisms that I've heard about THM and those diets that separate carbs and fat, is that the idea is that the fat actually helps blunt the blood sugar spike from the carbs, and so it's better to put the carbs and fat together. But what this study showed, that at least in diabetic patients, that wasn't even the case. And even in the patients that didn't have diabetes, they talked about the insulin response. Anyways, I'm not going to go into all the details because I'm not going to give the information as it should be given. But I just wanted to give you that link to that podcast episode and encourage you to go listen to that if you are interested in the whole fat and carb separation thing, and just more info on that. And it's more info that confirms what the THM authors have put forth. They're not scientists and they didn't do all kinds of scientific research before they put their diet out there, but scientific research is being done. And as far as I've seen, there's a lot of it that confirms what the THM authors have already put out there, and that we're doing on the THM diet. So anyways, I will link that down below as well. Definitely encourage you to go listen to that. Very fun to listen to. Those ladies are fantastic. So that is it for my Wellness Wednesday. I did try to take some progress pictures this morning, like I said I was going to, and I was just looking at them and they're really bad quality. Like the lighting was horrible and they just looked awful. So I just decided, we'll just not do that right now. I will try to do it maybe next month. There's nothing too dramatic to show, but I am still in my size 6 jeans and those are fitting fantastically. My size 8s are too big. They're like super comfortable and I couldn't be happier about that. So that is my Wellness Wednesday for this week. Things are going good. Not as exciting as the dropping weight phase, but is definitely necessary, and I'm feeling good and happy with how things are going. I think that's all I have to share for now, so I will talk to you guys again soon. I hope you guys are all doing fantastic. Bye guys.